Want to give your A-line skirt a fresh new look? Learn how to add fullness into your A-line skirt pattern to create a gorgeous gathered design that is full of movement and style. Hi, I'm Christina, and I love to digitally pattern draft, creating unique pieces of wearable art. And I'm super excited today to be showing you how you can add fullness into an A-line skirt in Affinity Designer so that you can change up any of your patterns to create the exact pattern you want. So let's dive on in to our artboard. A little while ago, we drafted a fun A-line skirt from just our basic sloper pattern skirt. And today we're going to be changing this A-line skirt and giving it a little bit more fullness. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab these two pattern pieces and move them up slightly so that we can, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, so we can look at them more closely. Now, what we want to do first is we actually want to figure out where we want to split our pattern to create fullness, as well as how much fullness we want to go into. When you're wanting to change up a pattern, you first want to decide what you're looking to do. So I always like to think, do I want to do a 2-to-1 ratio, a 3-to-1 ratio? And by meaning 2-to-1 or 3-to-1, do I want to have two times the amount of fabric that's starting in there, 3 times the amount of fabric that's starting in there? That's something that if you start with that will kind of give you a guide on how you want to start to look at stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a basic 2-to-1 ratio. So the first thing I need to know is how much fabric I need to be adding in. So the first thing I need to do is I need to measure. So I can just go point to point, and right now it's still in points. And we want to change it. So we're going to go into our document setup, change from points to inches, and we're going to hit OK. And it changed it to 2.88. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in really fast because you can also get the curve. Now you can't quite get everything of the curve because once you move to the point it moves, but it is trying to get that curve. I'm just going to go, since this doesn't have to be super precise, I'm going to go with the 2.88. So I want to add 2.88, so I'm actually going to add just a little bit more. I'm going to add 3 inches into my half scale on both the back and on the front. And I'm going to do it very similar to how we actually did the slashing and spreading to create the A-line from our basic skirt. So I'm going to use my knife tool, select the pattern I want to cut, and then I'm going to just give myself 3 cuts that are roughly right where I want them to be. Then we're going to want to transform and move these guys out so that we can move them. Now, because I did the 3 cuts, I want to grab all 3 of those, I want to move them all 1 inch. So I'm going to select everything I want to move, and we're going to come down to this transform. Oh, I just pulled it out. Okay, well, that's okay. We'll pull it out, and can I make it a little bit bigger? No, that's okay. So I'm going to re-highlight it. So I'm going to want to transform it. So we have it, it's currently in points. It should be in inches. There we go. Now it's in inches. I don't know why that changed back. We'll have to look into that. But I want to move it 1 inch that way. So I'm just going to go +1 tab, and you're going to see, and I can see what it did. I always love to make sure that it's doing exactly what I want to do because sometimes I get confused of which way I want it to move. So it's one thing you always want to think about. So when I'm happy with that, I'm going to go ahead and then just highlight the next ones. I'm going to do go out to the end, +1, and it moves it another inch. Then I'm going to grab that last one, and we're going to +1, enter, and we have now slashed and spread it. So now all we have to do is actually trace it again. So I'm going to get out my pen tool and I'm going to trace my pattern. And you just want to get that line to line up as best you can with all of the hems. I'm going to go up and in, and then same with, whoops, and we're going to go from that one to this one and give it a nice pull in like so. There we have it. So that is our back pattern piece that has now been slashed and spread so that we have enough so we can now gather it into a fun swirly A-line. So let's go ahead and quickly do the exact same thing on our other side. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. So we started with the knife, and oops, we got to select everything we're going to cut first. We're going to cut once, cut twice, cut 3 times. Then we're going to select everything we want to move, come down to our transform. This time, instead of going +1, we're actually going to go -1 because then it's going to move it in the opposite direction. This is always kind of why I like to make sure I'm moving it the way I want to before I totally unselect or do anything else, because it can get a little bit confusing, so I always like to make sure I'm moving it in the right direction. Then we're going to go ahead and highlight the next 2 that we want to do in the X, -1, and then the last one. Whew, barely got that one. So then we're going to go space, -1. We got it. So now it's time to trace around, click and pull till you like where it's hitting, re-click to get that nice harsh turn, and finish it off with a nice, yeah, there we go. And then we can move that up and we can take a look at the 3 renditions we have done. We have moved it in a previous video. We have moved it from a basic skirt. Actually, let's take a look at that. Let's pull those over so we can kind of see how it moved. There we go. So we took a basic sloper, basic skirt pattern, and we altered it so that it was a A-line skirt pattern. And then we took that A-line skirt pattern and we slashed and spread it apart so that we could create a fun gathered A-line skirt that would have a really nice flowy look to it when you do your fun turns. I would love to know what you are pattern drafting in Affinity Designer, and what types of wearable art you love to create. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. That way you can continue to see other fun ways to pattern draft in Affinity, in Illustrator, in Clo, and get your digital pattern drafting skills elevated. I look forward to seeing you in some of my other videos. Happy patterning!